Morning, boys and girls. Come on, pojkar och flickor. This is Soviet turn 11 in War and Peace 2. German AI difficulty 120. And welcome back. We'll jump into the game. I'll start with the weather for August 31st. Should be here. Nope. This one. As you can see here, these rains have pulled back to Central Europe and Northern Scandinavia, and the mud is gone from any Soviet territory. There are some high pressure fronts here in the south. It doesn't really matter. So weather is not an effect on turn 11. I mentioned at the beginning of the turn that we're now disposing of 3.2 million. I need my glasses. My screen glasses, not my reading glasses. These are for the computer screen. It's quite a jump from last week. As you can see here, it says here almost 300,000 new people on the map, which is that's not quite, because I have removed a lot. Let's see if I turn on map and support. 3.1 million, 40,000. Yeah, this could be on map and support. This is probably the correct numbers for on map forces. It's about 3 million now, so we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I suppose there's nothing else to do but to jump in from the north and start. I'm gonna take my time this week, but I'm not gonna be super detailed and go into individual armies. If you want that information, you have to ask me in the comments after the YouTube videos. So I'll show you the extent of the Leningrad front. I think the music is in the wrong place, isn't it? It is. Yep. This should make the music better in the recording. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is the extent of Leningrad front. So not what you see up here, the green armies, they're actually connected to Northwestern Front, because that is the closest front headquarters that's not overloaded. And this army in the south here, it's this tool is a little bit fiddly, so let's call this is the Northwestern Front here, and this is the Northwestern Front as well. So what you're seeing is the main area defense, and that is over 500,000 people in this red area. So it is dense, counter density on the map for sure, but there's also a lot of support units, and I don't know, it's just a lot of troops there. It's actually 15% of my online troops overall in this small sector here. And we have a few divisions that are evacuating. They're being taken off map because they are routed and they have low morale and experience and strength, etc. So they're in bad shape. They're not. So we're removing forces, and then we're walking in there. We have around 5-6 divisions coming up from reinforcement sectors, and they're positioned around here. So I didn't place any new forces in the Leningrad area this week, and that's kind of a risky move. I'm kind of hoping this sector will be able to defend itself with what it got now. And if you follow along here, you can see, of course, the city hexes with their high forts, 4, 4, 3, they have X, so they have very high, 21 only, that's a low, 78 defense, 53 defense, 66 defense and 69 defense. I'm not sure I'm gonna hold these two city hexes, we'll see in the combat phase. But the good news here is that these frontal hexes were spared from attacks this turn. They tried to go into Leningrad itself, so I had a little bit of time to build up the central front area here this week. And we're now seeing level 2, 1, 2 forts and 50, 54, 35. Yes, I'm trying to push in good support units to beef up these divisions here. Okay, it doesn't show. Oh, this one doesn't have a support unit. So you want to push in that machine gun battalion there. Like Naval Infantry Brigade. Naval Infantry Brigade. Those are nice, large, 5,000 strength, 3,000 strength, 4,000 strength. So I'm using whatever support units I have to beef up this sector. And the reasoning for this is such a short distance to the Lake Ladoga shorelines, and I want to keep this rail line open if I can, as long as possible. Yeah. The rest of the sector to the northeast here is not as heavily held, because if he pushes that way, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't want him to break this railroad line here, of course. That would be bad. But anyway, as you can see here, this part of the front is getting stronger. Let's call it the central front of Leningrad sector. So I'm a bit happy about how it's going in Leningrad for now. I even did some bombing here. I actually pushed up a bit and reoccupied a couple of heavy forest hexes here. And I had a couple of new divisions pushing in from reinforcement sectors here. So here's the overall overview of Leningrad. I'm spending a little bit more time on this front than the other ones. Okay, so it's not over 500,000, but it's nearly, and 6,000 artillery pieces. Overall, you can notice that I have been able to train and refit to morale 50 and a high experience nearly 50 on a lot of artillery pieces in the reserve pool, and they're now on map. And my army headquarters, they have generally 4 and even sometimes up to 5 artillery support units, and a lot of them also gotten a independent mortar battalion. So let's see here. Yeah, we have a mortar battalion which consists of 36 120mm mortars. So it's a little bit of firepower. The good thing about the mortar is it's a separate category. So the leader rolls a different die to have it enter into combat than artillery. So it's not very powerful. I wonder if it even has one. No, the combat value is 0.7. It's a very low combat value, but it's still easier to get it into combat than an artillery. So as you can see here, we have 4 nice artillery regiments in this 27th Army here. So that's probably why we're up to over 6,000 artillery pieces in this sector here. So maybe these forts in the back line here are not gonna come into action ever. Hopefully, that would be good news. I'm not planning on building more forts in the Leningrad sector this turn. I did make a decision. Another, I guess, map automatic scripted transfer of a very large, almost 15,000 strong 26th Rifle Division. It popped up in the east of the map, so it's on rail. It's been railroading westwards. I think this is a Far East. Yeah, it's a Far East Rifle Division, but it has 50 morale, so I don't mind it being ground down in heavy combat, being slowly pushed back by the German assaults at Leningrad. If it had high morale, I don't kind of want to put it in the front line just being attacked over and over and risking retreating and lowering its morale. So I like morale 50 in the meat grinder of Leningrad, where, you know, send them in, pull them out, train them up in the reserve pool and push them back in again. So we're gonna try to get this guy into Leningrad itself and replace one of the worst divisions there. And actually, when I checked the supply depots, depot supply increased in Leningrad this week. And I think this has to do with them being able to transport unlimited supplies over the sea route here, because there is no direct railroad route into Leningrad. It's mostly inside Leningrad in these large supply depots around the town center that increased in supply stocks. Not so much other depots. So a bit weird why that happened. But in any case, even though I have heavy troop concentrations here, I am still increasing my available supplies in case I get isolated or even besieged and starved out. Okay, that's a lot of yapping about Leningrad because it's basically the same as any other turn. But generally, I feel that the situation at Leningrad is getting better each week instead of worse. And I know against the human player it would have been different. They would have had a more focused plan. But you have to remember, this is the area where 120 morale bonus AI combat capability increase is felt the most, where the AI can attack turn after turn after turn. But we don't know how it's going to end up. I suspect that some infantry from Tallinn not that long ago... Wait, why does he have troops around here? Is going to reach here. Whatever he has is probably sitting out of vision and resting up and refitting. And before the mud and fall is here, I think we're going to see some heavy assault in this area. So we're not out of danger yet by any stretch of the imagination. Again, we see some white divisions down here that are 47 morale. You know, if I'm in a crisis, I don't mind having 47 morale sitting in the front line. But if I had the opportunity to replace them for a level 50 that's been training in the reserve pool, I pull them out. This one, 46, is going out. This one, 47, is going out. So, yeah, I guess the northwestern front, what it has been doing is slowly pulling in new, fresh divisions and replacing them with, oh, okay, this division here. Well, this is a 47. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to use this one, even though it's low strength and fairly low morale, and plug the line. I mean, what is the fatigue? And the fatigue is not too bad. It is the unready status. Okay, I'm gonna forget to place this. I think I'm going to... Oh, it can't even reach inside this newly occupied, because the Germans pushed me back out of this. Okay, so... Oh, they actually pushed me back twice here. They made a heavy push here across these two rivers. But then they didn't follow up. They just left it as is and pulled back. All you can see is this regiment. There should be more German infantry back here then, but I'm scared of this sector. So what the hell am I gonna do with this one? Just let him sit here this turn, resting and refitting? Yeah, I think so. I don't think I placed any new maybe in one division here. So I'm a bit stretched south of Lake Ilmen here, I have to admit, but it looks good now with only German regiments sitting in this area. I'm slowly drip feeding in large mountain cavalry divisions. They can have up to 7,000 with their high movement movement factors in the marsh and heavy force here. So yeah, I'm not strong in the northwestern sector, and you have armies in the north, and this front only consists of 300,000. So of course, this sector of the front is one of the weaker ones. But I have beefed them up with more artillery. The army headquarters, the northwestern front, gotten 2 of the BM howitzer regiments. This campaign, I'm throwing in my 203mm B4 howitzers into the front headquarters early in the war to see how that works out for me. I don't think I ever noticed one of them activating in a combat, but they haven't been on the map for that long. We also have 1, 2, 3 new cavalry divisions in the back line here, and I'm kind of pulling back the banged up. We had a couple of strong German attacks in this area, but I bombed them and I pulled back, and I'm leaving the light force hexes open, and because he only has infantry here, well, 1 motorized regiment. So if he wants to semi-encircle and infiltrate me, it's going to be slow. It's not going to be any encirclements. I'm feeling that this sector of the front, it is holding, it's under pressure, it is a bit low on strength, but I'm drip feeding in a few troops. I deployed 2 cavalry divisions more in this area, and maybe one more infantry division. I think I put 2 infantry divisions inside Moscow, and they can basically enrail and go anywhere on the map, even faster than I used to walk up to the front from a front position deployment here. So Northwestern Front, it's okay, it's okay. Some air support, some artillery support, and slowly falling back or whatever. More interesting though is the Western Front, I suppose. As you can tell, the strong push was the German assault around Kaluga. They came across the river during their turn. I, in return, bombed them and made a local counterattack, which was extremely slow. I'm not gonna force you to watch any level 4 detail combats again live on stream. Skip that video. But anyways, we made 2 German 1 reserve regiment retreat. We suffered some losses, but as you can see here, we do have some combat. So I'm thinking, and I even got some decent defensive values on the 29th Tank Army under Tolbukin when they pulled back and set up. They didn't waste themselves entirely in this counterattack here, so they're forming kind of a decent defensive line here to the west of the German attack. But we have one fairly strong army here, and then we have another elite, very strong army under Red command, which is better. Then the Orange army, that is intermediate, around 4.0 average leader, sitting along this is a minor river, but there's a lot of heavy forest hexes, so we have about a decent defense here. Yeah, of course I evacuated all these hexes here. I can't afford to forward defense any longer when I'm wide open here. Then I pulled back whatever trashed up infantry I had north of Kaluga, and they just fell back to this river here. You see these 3 tanks? They're sitting on a supply depot here, resting and refitting. So I'm trying to protect the railroad and that depot here. And then we have some cavalry covering the flanks, I suppose. But to the north, towards Moscow, we are incredibly weak in the Western Front sector. But I am deploying further to the north, and I think 10 hexes away, maybe in Mikhailov, 3 divisions. And so 10 hexes away would be up here. I'm deploying 9 more divisions, 3 in each hex here. So all in all, we're gonna have 12 infantry divisions deploying in the Moscow sector. And of course, I intend to, kind of run up to this line or something and try to reinforce there. So maybe I will build some forts in the Moscow sector. I was considering having 1 fort here, maybe in these major river bends. I don't know. Maybe set up a defensive line along the minor river here. I don't know. That's why I'm keeping 15 action points here. I don't think I'm going to replace a leader this turn. I'd rather have some forts around Moscow. We'll see. We'll see. So the only good thing about the German push here is that I don't see any mobile forces. It's going to be a slow, slugging advance towards Moscow. I mean, who knows what direction they're going to take. Yeah, I haven't moved these headquarters away yet. I need to do that before I finish the turn. But the truth is that basically the German, we do have a defense to the northwest, but whatever is north and east is very, very thin. It's mostly incredibly weak infantry divisions or cavalry. Of course, Kaluga is another matter. It is a strong point, but that's about it. So these 12 divisions, is it going to be enough? Yeah, I suppose. Look at the German forces here. 12 divisions, even though they're not very strong, around 8,000, they have 50 morale. I had to deploy experience 40 down to 47, so there's some 48, some 49, but even some 47s. I'd like to train them another week up to 48, 49 experience, but I just felt I had to throw in. It's not trash. They're weak, but they're fairly well trained. But obviously, this is probably the most threatened sector of the entire front right now. I'm just very happy to see few mechanized formations in this sector. So I had to get this through my head. So the Western Front, it's decently strong, 400,000. It has the 1,100 tanks. I do believe we have one more tank or mechanized division. Yeah, I placed an elite tank division up here with very high morale and experience, one of the best to reinforce the 29th Army as needed. Anything else in this sector? Not really. It's not, it's not like he's gonna be in Moscow next week or anything, but it was an unpleasant surprise. Right, maybe you wanna check the 28th Army's infantry quality, because it is really one of the best armies in there. It has 65 down to 55, so these are very nice divisions, some of the best in the army. So I would prefer to not have these guys in the line defending Vyazma. I would rather have trashy infantry here and having this as a mobile reserve force to counterattack. But I'm not there yet. I just don't have enough forces on the map to have the luxury of having second line counterattack forces. We'll see what happens in the other sectors where there's a little bit of distance between the Germans and the Russians here. Maybe he pushes the line, or he could well walk into Kaluga this turn and create another disaster. What do I know? All right, the central front here is empty, and so that is a good candidate for a set assault, which costs, is it 20 or 30 or 25 action points? I don't know, but sooner or later we're gonna need an assault that has a double combat preparation regain, but you can't dig in at more than level 1. Is that it? Can't quite remember. He's a bad leader though. 4.2. No, he's not. He's not that bad. Yeah. I railed in a mech division into Voronezh that I don't know what to do with, but that's how far he got, and I derailed him here. He might as well sit here, and when I know where the Germans are going to break through, or where I need which of the 32nd and 24th Tank Army, the Orel and Kursk defenders, when I know which one of those are going to need reinforcements, I do have one nice Far Eastern 50 morale 100 tanks mech division sitting available in Voronezh. So in certain areas you see I'm building up like a long distance high quality counter winter offensive reserve of a sorts. I also moved over a very high quality 168th Rifle Division to this fort out here in the middle of nowhere with a 58 morale. The way I reason here is that if you enable factory location, you get a little bit better supply depots, one more level of rail capacity if you build the depots in these red hexes where you have, well, I guess you already have one level of rail yard and some manpower. First off, I think that means it is a town of a sort, so you can build up to level 2 fort level without any fort zone. First, I discovered this playthrough. The second, I'm thinking maybe having forts in Valets, Lev Tolstoy, and this place here, and a fort, to have them as kind of islands in an ocean of clear terrain here, because it's really hard to defend out there and knowing how to fight. And rather than keeping a line, I might just, focus my forces in a hedgehog around these forward depots. I'm not there yet, but the other alternatives, of course, is to fall down to this river line here, Voronezh, Vitebsk. We'll see how that happens, but I'm trying something. before I tried to form river lines with cavalry and weak divisions, but they're just victims of German abuse when you have them stretched out like that. I'm playing a bit differently, a bit more checkerboard, zone of control-ish, which is possible against AI. A human player would take advantage of that and encircle, nibble off small, isolated divisions if you play that way. So, there you go. Anyways, I guess I pulled back a bad routed division here. Oh, yeah, another thing I'm trying out is that instead of using my few remaining cores, it's another layer of leadership. So now I deploy them mostly to put them onto routed units. I know it's a trash leader, but the 1st Airborne Corps here, he's only a 2.8 leader, so he's really bad. But now he's commanding 2 routed units back here. This guy must have been routed a long time ago because he's been walking back from Leningrad all the way back to Kalinin here. But anyways, I have the Corps headquarters and an, a decent army headquarters. So there's another leadership level to rally them. I have not been using the Corps headquarters that way before. And same here, I put the 6th Cavalry Corps under with 2 routed divisions under them. Because they, sometimes they don't rally, sorry. And it's kind of annoying for the next turn. It's another week they're out of doing something useful. So we, around Tula now, we have the 22nd Army, a Railin A 4.1 average, which is because it has orange color. And again, 4 artillery, and the Tula sector is defended now by 64,000. But 2 of those divisions are routed, right? So that means you can see how weak we are around Tula. The 3rd Army, however, is a much better leader. It is quite a lot stronger, 82,000 with 1,000 guns. It has plenty of artillery. It has been left alone. Oh, yeah, you can tell how much punishment it has been taking since it fought at Bryansk and fallen back successfully to here. 32 losses. That is not good combat statistics. But we don't have any understrength divisions. I would say that morale is good. We don't have anything below 48 morale in the army with 80,000. So and we're dug in behind a minor river, kind of in an angle here. But this is a key army. I expect it to be assaulted by the German infantry this turn, but I think I'm willing to take the punishment where I'm standing now. So because if he goes eastwards, he doesn't go northeast towards Moscow. So fine, hit my 3rd Army and beat it up if you want to. Yeah, we talked about this before. We have the 24th Army defending Orel. Why are you defending yada yada with the tank army? I'm out of troops. I'd prefer to have infantry here. I don't have it's not available. Here is a potential counterattack. The 3rd, no, a regiment, an infantry regiment, isolated, because I had quite decent attack values here. I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to attack this hex or not. He has snagged, I don't know how he came to snag that. Maybe, did he move in there and then evacuate that hex to capture it? It kind of opens up a little bit for a semi-encirclement, but I'm not spotting any mechanized formations here, but I am, of course, I have a bit of a risk of having the entire Kursk army encircled or semi-encircled. It kind of depends on the situation. I'm under the impression he moved most of his mechanized forces southeastwards towards that sector and left mostly... All I can see here is infantry, right? So, who knows? Did I scout in this area? I think I did some air scouting here. No. Yeah, I probably should have scouted with air here, so I got more information. I did quite a lot of bombing. And that consists the entire Bryansk front, I think. Yeah. we're not quite fighting in Bryansk, are we? But the Bryansk front has a good leader, has 3 heavy howitzer regiments, and 350,000, nearly 5,000 artillery, nearly 3,000 tanks. So I'd call it a fairly strong front here. Why do we have 71 out of 72? I think it's only 3 armies and a couple of stragglers here and there. Oh right, I have, yeah, this weak 22nd army is part of the Bryansk front as well. So it's actually stretching. Well, this changes from turn to turn. Definitely, this is the Bryansk front then. 350,000, nearly 3,000 tanks. Is that okay? Is it weak? It is a decent skirmish line for this open terrain here. I wouldn't call it extremely weak, maybe average, medium. And now for one of the a little bit more interesting sectors. We saw this turn how the Germans savaged the... Wait, just... okay. Look at this. Look at all these attacks. Especially in the Kharkov sector here, I was just mauled. I was just... You know, there were not strong defenders in this sector. It was more of a... I fell back from this river line the last week, so I didn't expect him to hit as hard as he did. The thing is, from Kiev and from... what do you call it up here? The northern sector. These guys, the Germans have just been pursuing me. They have not been fighting. So even if they walk, they probably rest and refit a little bit. They were strong. And now when they hit me, oh boy did it hurt. They just evaporated all these forces here. So enough said about that. But what happened was that I obviously had to pull back. And I am not strong in this sector. I also had 2 isolated divisions here. Well, I broke the isolation, but obviously it's going to be very hard for them to survive in case the Germans re-isolate them. If I pick up, you can see here, I managed to open. The German AI made a mistake. It left a hex open here. It has done that more times. So it's just very bad at encircling. So these guys should be dead. And what I'm really sad about is that this division is a 60 morale, one of the top 20 or so divisions in the Soviet army, and now I'm gonna lose it, most likely. So that's 2 divisions. At Dnipropetrovsk, I decided to give up the town. Was it the wrong move? I did not have any supplies left in the depot, which is one of the reasons. Another reason is that where I'm standing now, I have a 1 defense value, but I'm actually covered from 3 different hex sides with a major river. And I am still zone controlling a very annoying sector for him. So I'm hoping that he will hit me and that I will make a retreat or rout result that makes this division survive. I'm rather saving a couple of 1,000 men than slowing him down. Maybe it's the wrong move. And then of course we have a 4th isolated division, Zaporizhia. I sent in some supplies this turn. Can we see? Not a lot. You don't see how much. We have 33 U-2 transports, air transporting in, but I managed to get like 19 tons in. Why can't you see? No, 4 tons delivered, 6 tons delivered, and the first one 8 tons. So that's a total of 18 tons. I do have already a decent supply depot in Zaporizhia, and I think I had something like 800 depot supply stored or freight last turn. Now we're down to under 200, but the division itself is actually 100% supplied. It is still isolated though. You need to, if you air transport into an airbase, I don't know how much, but let's say like half of the supplies the division needs for a turn, you break isolation. I have not managed that with my weak transport, but I did deploy 2 transport air wings this week that will be maybe potentially able to air transport in more supplies to Zaporizhia. Well, he's dead anyways, long term. Of course he is. It's just a bit of a discussion around air supplying. So I'm going to lose around 40,000 men, most probably, from just these stragglers. Now, if we're gonna analyze the entire battle for Dnieper River, or whatever we're gonna call it, the sector Poltava down here to Zaporizhia, I think halting the German march eastwards for 2 or maybe even 3 weeks or so, slowing him down, has been worth the losses. We did not suffer a major encirclement. It was kind of a give and take in this sector, but we did leave the Poltava. This line is not holding anymore. Well, it was actually more like this when the turn started, something like this. We were defending like so, and they all ran as far back as we could, mostly up here towards this river line here. We do have some stragglers out here in the open that couldn't get any further. I am hoping the Germans are not going to be able to hit them, because obviously they have 1 and 0 defense values. They're going to be easy victims in case the German panzers catch up here, but what the hell are you going to do? Then I also railed out a couple of divisions to depots in the background here. So, and these are usually high quality troops, like elite formations, so they're going to sit there and rest on their feet and serve as some sort of counterattack once the Germans reach the Stalino fort line here. I did reinforce with a half a dozen divisions or so in the northern part, this Orange Army here, so I'm going to have 2 infantry divisions sitting in each of these axes. And then from the Transcaucasus military district, I had over garrisoned, so I could pull in rather strong 10,000-11,000 infantry divisions, a bit stronger, but it's going to take them 2 turns to pop up around here, and then I can distribute it. But I don't think it's gonna be possible for the Germans to break this line in 2 turns. So hopefully I can get the Transcaucasus, I wouldn't call them elite, but a bit larger, better than average divisions into this line here. So we are definitely going to fight very heavily for the Stalino line, and then we pulled back Rokossovsky's 6th Tank Army, and he's getting a bit cluttered. I'm just going to remove his tank army sitting here, resting and refitting. We have two new supply depots here as well, and I intend to make this a second fort line behind the first one. This turn, maybe. These divisions here in the Tan army are low morale, low strength, high fatigue. So it's a low quality army, but I am reinforcing with, I think, 6 new divisions here in the river bend, and I intend to replace them next turn, in case, unless the Germans here manage to break this river line. I hope they won't. There's a bit of distance, major river, a key heavy forest, heavy woods hex, but with a very bad division. Sorry, I'm jumping up a bit and down north and south here. I hope you can follow me anyways. And did I mention that we do have the 4th Army under Vatutin, is it? These good Soviet tank, they can command 6 mech and 7 infantry, so they can command either or. But now he's commanding all the very high quality elite, the best infantry divisions in the Soviet army that were fighting in the Don River bend here, Dnieper River bend, sorry. Doesn't have any artillery. Here I am sitting bragging about how every army, and I just forget one, and I don't have any more artillery to place. But he's not gonna fight this week, so I guess that's okay. Next week's the reinforcement of artillery is gonna go to the 4th army. Anyways, I'll show you, because it's kind of war porn. Look at this army here, 72, 60, 60, 59, 59. But it would have been nice to have that 60 morale infantry divisions sitting in here. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, 5 elite divisions here, but we have another 5 or so sitting in the cities behind the front lines here. I railed them into the cities. So we should have maybe not a dozen, but like 8, 9, 10 elite infantry division that I can place in a very strong army and counterattack with. But of course they also need a rest and refit. And all of this, now I transferred command of this entire sector to the southwestern front. So let's see here, I'm gonna paint on the map. The southwestern front, which now consists of only 300,000 men, 4,000 artillery, 1,400 tanks. It has plenty of air support, but it's not a super strong. And you know, if you scroll down morale-wise, you're gonna see that, okay, we're not doing too bad with morale. I guess mostly fresh troops. How about fatigue? Yeah, obviously a lot of these troops have been running away, so they have high fatigue. So a bit out of balance, the southwestern front, but all in all, it is what it is. So the southwestern front is defending kind of a skirmish line here. Belgorod is a strong point, tanks along the river, and this fort line here, it consists of one average Soviet infantry division and a fort, and a cavalry division, each of these axes. So they're not strong enough. I think they got a support anti-tank regiment as well. They're not strong enough to withstand a German assault. I was planning on fighting very hard for Kharkov. I will not be, because I just don't have the forces here. This smash and grab operation at the Vorskla River just dashed those plans. I'm going to lose the T-34 factories in Kharkov early. It's just gonna happen. I don't have the strength enough. I mean, in Kharkov itself, I have one good division and one very weak one refitting here, so that should be enough. But even, you know, I only have 55 defense in Belgorod itself, and I have to use mechs with tanks inside the city. I don't want to, but see, I'm just so weak here. Yeah, I guess we don't have to go through, but the defense values here in the open terrain is 6, 9, 8, and 9. You know, I'm not sure they are going to be able to break the line this week after fighting so heavily here at the Vorskla River, but it's going to happen. I'm not gonna, you know, barely slow them down. It's just a fact. It's unfortunate. I do have this 51st tank army with the 1,400 tanks, but it's deployed at river defense. It's not really the purpose of a tank army, is it? You should have infantry sitting at the river, and then the tanks should be behind counterattacking the best of the worlds. But there we are. And again, we do have grouped up a couple of routed units that I did not collect under a... Alright, okay, so I do have a... Fuck, yeah, you know, this is what I should do. Let's see, I should... Oh, fuck. Oh, I made a mistake here. I put the 2 routed units and a couple of others under my 1 core commander here to make them rally easier, but I could have placed them under this. These routed troops could be here under better command order. Oh, I need some coffee. But we don't have any green leaders in the front line except the 13th Army. And down here we have a 18th Army south of Stalino. He's a very bad leader, 3.5. So I'm just gonna check how much it would be. 10 admin points. So I could replace this guy with a much better infantry leader this turn instead of building forts. Or I can do it next turn, because I don't think the Germans going to be here attacking anytime soon. The question is, do I need another replacement of another Soviet commander the coming week? Or can I build forts? I will have to consider that. I'm not quite sure yet. All right, I guess the last thing to say is that the 12th Army under Bobkin around Mariupol at the coastline here is quite strong. It's on the southern front and it now feels again over 1,000 tanks. And I'm resting and refitting here. I pulled back, I gave up the port of Osipenko here at the coast and just pulled back and sitting here at Mariupol. So we're actually gonna have two good tank armies, Rokossovsky's 6th and Bobkin's what the hell, 12th tank army. And then we're gonna have two infantry armies. So the Stalino line is going to have a high density of troops, although how well fortified they're going to be with the time given before the Germans arrive, what kind of quality we're talking here, yeah, I know, but you know, it's one of the stronger parts of the front here. Hopefully what is it called? The Don Basin with its heavy industry and Rostov and Volgograd. It's gonna hold out longer than Kharkov will. I'm kind of sacrificing Kharkov and focusing on the Stalino sector instead, as you can tell. And not much to say about the southern sector here. I'll just show you my main coastal army. He's got a nice red Sakharov army command. We basically have 140,000 men in one single army and 2,000 artillery. That's a lot, isn't it? And it's mostly high morale mountain infantry. Where's the mountain infantry? There it is. As you see here, the morale is varying between 77 down to 51. I guess this 51 needs to go back to the reserves and train for a while. But we have very high quality troops here, and the 3 hexes that we are defending in is now even stronger. 61 defense, 62 defense, and the port itself here is 59 defense. The trick here is once you are isolated on the Kerch Peninsula, you have to send a single army headquarter over the straits, and then you feed in a couple of support units into it, and then you go back over the Kerch Peninsula strait here again, and you transfer from this army headquarters the next turn into the front headquarters, and from the front headquarters, the turn after that, you can replace damaged support units, send them back to Stavka, or I don't know if you can send them back when you're isolated, or if you have to send the trashy ones and do rinse and repeat. But there is a very complicated way to get fresh support units into Kerch even though you're isolated. It is a bit annoying that you are isolated like this because you have port supply, right? And isn't Kerch Tamanskaya here with the ferry kind of a railroad connection? I'll show you. If I were to try to assign support units, it's just not possible from Stavka. Only from my southern front headquarters that's on the Kerch itself. So you are isolated in that sense and purpose. But anyways, one strong army, and then behind it, kind of resting, refitting, repairing, is the 26th Army, the reserve backup 43,000 strong reserve army down here. So this should be enough to slow down the German assault here for a while. The question is, are these defenses going to hold or not? Because if not, I need to start considering placing fort zones in these ports, along this river here, maybe behind, you know, the front hexes. So this is one area where I would like to build more forts, but you can't build them all at once, of course. I'm just gonna check how long. It's been almost an hour. Let me think. As you can see, I'll show you my theater boxes. Northern front is a bit low on ground forces, but I am sending one division there. Transcaucasus is fine. It's a bit low on air. Guess I'm sending more air. So I sent out 6 or 7 infantry divisions from Transcaucasus to the Stalin sector, as you remember I told you. The Far East is also fine. You know, I do have some strong, nice, high quality formations in the Far East that I would like to transfer back to the West, but that means it takes 3 turns for my replacements of trashy ground troops to reach here. So it is a long process here, also lacking a bit of air. But that's my the reserve now is down to below 700,000. Remember, it used to be over a million. 10,000 artillery and under 2,000 tanks. We got a lot of tanks on the map here. Got over 7,000 airplanes in reserve training and resting and refitting. So that about does it. We are now in the sort of early fall, late summer turns where Soviet reinforcements are starting to hit the map in earnest. I am placing up towards 15-20 infantry divisions this turn. That is a heavy reinforcement. We are going to see the Red Army on map presence increase at least the next week. How long it's going to continue, I really don't know. Oh yeah, I did something nasty. I built up 3 artillery regiments so that I am now at the maximum 203, because I know that this week we are going to the next week, sorry, we are going to receive reinforcements of like all of these artillery regiments. Yes, we have to fill them with guns and train them, but I think it's like 12 or 15 or something. So I just figured that I'd maximize the amount of artillery. Then it's not going to be new artillery until turn 15, 16 and 2021. FYI. Let's see if I select all. No, okay. So these are all the reinforcements next turn. That's a lot, but it's kind of hard to. We are getting quite a few. Okay, these are not strong formations, and most of them are ending up in the Soviet reserve anyways. I guess we don't get any free scripted troops these turns, or turn 13 either. So whatever I deploy from the reserve pool is kind of what I'm gonna get here. You can limit to turn 12 to turn 12. This way you can see that I'm getting 38,000, but some are going to the northern front, some are going to Far East. Only one NKVD is going to the map. So not a huge free scripted reinforcement schedule coming up. I guess what I got is what I got. I don't know. Have we defeated the 120 German AI yet? I mean, we're not gonna be capitulated. We're not gonna lose Leningrad, Moscow, and Stalingrad like you do against a skilled human German player. I mean, in my opinion, a German human player that builds a lot of supply depots is impossible to stop. It's just the game is a little bit broken or unbalanced in 1941. It is balanced if you're of intermediate average skill, because the Germans won't get as far. But if you know the supply system and just spam, basically it is not that hard, I think. Basically what you do is you build with all your action points depots everywhere and put them on 4 supply priority. That is not super hard to figure out. I suppose you're supposed to I guess you're supposed to also kind of build railway efficiently with your few railroad construction units, and also maybe not move every division at maximum distance every turn, kind of jump ahead with half of your army and then rest and refit the other half, and then move into friendly territory that has already been converted the previous turn, so they move for free or cheaper. I mean, but it's not rocket science to figure out to have an incredibly well-supplied German army all the way up to where the Germans are now, around turn 10, 11. And that means the Soviet human player, what the hell are you gonna do? Either you stand and fight, and you are going to find yourself encircled by well-supplied mechanized formations, and you die, and your army evaporates. Sure, you can afford it, a certain amount of losses, or you kind of run away to the Far East. And this has been a problem, a meta problem of gameplay of War in the East since War in the East 1, that the best defense for the Soviets was basically deploying Stalingrad, Saratov, Moscow, because only there would the supply situation be so grave, and the Germans wouldn't just reach there during the summer, fall, early fall. So I would say, I mean, yeah, it is incredibly challenging to play against a skilled human player playing the Germans in 1941. Almost to the level of being unbalanced or broken or unfair. You know, I definitely would consider preventing the motorization option in the game options. I'm even considering having a house rule that limits the amount of German depots, or the supply priority setting of 4 or 3 or something, because it's just not fun doing everything possible to defend, slow down the Germans, and having your entire army encircled turn after turn after turn. It's not enjoyable playing that way. Now, you might say, as the Germans, that like, I haven't played this game a lot. Some people have been playing this for 8 or 10 years, I don't know, and they play it, that's the only game they play, and they know every minute detail of it. So they're gonna take advantage of everything, and so it depends. I don't think it's unbalanced if you play like just happy-go-lucky average skill players. Then you know, there's no reason to have house rules. But I think well, that is pretty obvious, isn't it? As player skill progresses, it advantages the German side early in the war. Does that make sense? A lot of considerations to take there. Is there anything else I want to show you? Yeah, we got a nice core headquarters here with the red leadership skill level. Don't think I forgot. Oh yeah, we have... I talked about this division. Anyways, I need to break this off now. Looking forward to the next week of battles. I told you my main concerns. We'll see what happens. I have a few finishing moves considering the counterattack at Kursk, but I guess I'll see you next time in the German turn 12 attacks when we finished off this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.